Hey everybody, and Tony here with the review of Richard Strauss's Elektra with conductor Ulf Schirmer, which I saw at the Deutsche Oper Berlin. And this was also the same production I saw 1 year ago, and the reason why I came back to this was because I wanted to see the two fine British dramatic sopranos, Katherine Foster and Alison Oakes, do the sister act of Elektra and Chrysothemis. With that said, let's get on to what I thought about the singers, starting off with Katherine Foster as Elektra. Aside from performing the likes of Turandot, Isolde, and Brunhilde, Elektra is yet another one of Madame Foster's signature roles that she has been performing in a lot of the major European opera houses. Now, she was absolutely in fine form tonight. She was a very smart singer, extremely meticulous in where she had to sing lyrically and softly, and where she had to let it all out. And when she let it all out, she did it with such aplomb. Her high A's, B flats, B's, and of course some of her C's were so well, especially when she had to let them out with such great abandon. She really knew how to navigate this role so well and so tactfully that I was astounded at her overall gifts as a fine singing actress. She was able to make Elektra a pretty somber and maniacal person, but at the same time, she was able to give her a little bit of humanity as well. She was very accomplished as a singing actress, especially considering that she has been performing Elektra in a lot of the major European opera houses. She was a very smart singer. She really knew how to pace herself. And of course, she managed to do everything so meticulously well. Yes, as I stated before, her voice may not be the torrential ocean like, let's say, Gertrud Grobbrandl or Birgit Nilsson, or even have that steelier quality like Astrid Varnay or Sigrid Kehl, or even that of Gail Gilmore, but what she had to offer as Elektra was astounding. She was a very fine singing actress, and she managed to completely inhabit this role so well. She did a wonderful job all throughout, and I hope that she manages to keep this role for the next few years because she has brought in a lot of nuances to this character, and of course, she was a meticulous and smart singer. Alison Oakes was an absolute beauty as Chrysothemis. First of all, she manages to play off glamour superbly. She is a glamorous figure on stage. What with her strawberry blonde hair and that sleek and gorgeous physique and that ladylike charm that she has, she managed to have it all and be a complete package. And of course, her voice was quite steely, especially in the higher register, and it showed a lot of beauty. Her voice bloomed and bloomed, and she was just wonderful. Every time she hit her high notes, they were like comets, blazing golden comets, falling from the sky, and she managed to inhabit this role with a lot of beauty. And of course, in terms of her characterization, she was able to make her a lot more feminine than the tomboyish Katherine Foster as Elektra. They managed to really complement each other so well. What with Katherine Foster's full-toned dramatic soprano voice, and of course, sporting a fiery redhead, making her all the more stunning. And of course, Alison Oakes' gorgeous and stunning lyric dramatic soprano voice, and that gorgeous physique and that gorgeous presence which she bears, thus making these two wonderful dramatic sopranos on league with each other. And they definitely stole the show. Their chemistry was strong. They were able to play off of each other so effectively, and both of them were magnificent singing actresses. Returning as Clytemnestra was the fine German dramatic mezzo Doris Zoffel. And even though, as I stated before, many times I would love to hear a true dramatic contralto in this role, I still have to give major props to Madame Zoffel for her overall characterization of Clytemnestra, helped by that fine and gorgeous dramatic mezzo voice. For someone who is currently 69 years old, she was definitely in her vocal prime. Yes, at times her voice does show a little bit of wear and tear, but those few moments were extremely far and few between, and of course super rare. She managed to make a great use of her signature dramatic mezzo voice with a lot of great aplomb, and she had a lot of really great moments to work with as Clytemnestra. She managed to bring in her neurosis to the table, and she did it so well. She was, as always, a very effective and fine singing actress in this particular role. Returning as Orest was the superb basso cantante slash profondo Tobias Kira. And what more can I say about this gentleman? He was virile and he was masculinity personified in this particular role. He was in great vocal form, as he's always been. And of course, his tall and commanding vocal presence and stage presence were an absolute treat to watch. The way he was able to make Orest such a strong and mysterious figure was so alluring from beginning to end. Clemens Bieber was in fine form as Aegisth, and even though I would have loved to hear a rounder toned Heldentenor sing this particular role, I still have to give major props to Clemens Bieber for his characterization and of course his effectively wonderful singing. He was, as always, a fine singing actor, and he showed a lot of endurance, a lot of strength in terms of his talents as both a singer and an actor, and of course, a great amount of commitment. He was really great as a singing actor in this particular role, all thanks to his commitment as an artist, and of course, his fine technique as a singer. So when it comes to the main roles, they were all wonderfully sung, from Katherine Foster all the way up to Clemens Bieber. But what about the supporting players? They were equally strong. We have Seth Carrico's wonderfully sung Tutor to Orest, all thanks to his supple and firm bass baritone voice. Paul Kaufmann's young servant with his trademark character tenor voice, which he managed to emit so well. Stephen Bronk's tall, handsome, and masculine old servant. Sandra Amoui's gorgeously sung confidant, and I would definitely love to hear her in a lot more performances because she is a gorgeous figure with an equally fine and supple lyric soprano voice, so I would definitely love to hear a lot more of her. And Nicole Haslett's gorgeous and finely sung Train Bearer, all thanks to that light soprano voice, which she has been very known for. Nadine Secund's formidable Overseer, in which even though her voice showed a little bit of wear and tear, still managed to show how formidable she is as a singing actress, all thanks to her trademark dramatic soprano voice. And of course, the five maids. We have Annika Schlicht's gorgeous mezzo-contralto voice being put to great use for the first maid. Rebecca Jo Loeb, whose fine lyric mezzo voice and youthful presence was a great addition to the second maid. Yana Kurutsova's gorgeous lyric mezzo voice, which was put to great use for the third maid. Fionnuala McCarthy as the fourth maid, who managed to give her a fine and supple lyric soprano voice. And finally, Alexandra Hutton, whose light soprano voice was absolutely ideal for the fifth maid, with all of her youthfulness and all of her charm in her only scene. So overall, the singing was excellent, especially when you have such wonderful singing actresses like Katherine Foster and Allison Oakes, who managed to pull it off effectively as the sisters Elektra and Chrysothemis. And the conducting done by Ulf Schirmer was solid, even though there were some reservations about his conducting. There were times that he and the orchestra and the singers did not go together in some positions. There were times in which he was a bit sluggish, there were times that he went a little bit ahead, and it was kind of all over the place. But I still had to give him a good amount of credit for leading the orchestra of the Deutsche Oper Berlin. And of course, the chorus and orchestra of the Deutsche Oper Berlin and also the dancers were absolutely fabulous, as they've always been. So overall, with two grand dramatic sopranos in the forms of Katherine Foster and Allison Oakes, who did magnificent jobs as Elektra and Chrysothemis, and of course an equally fine cast, this was definitely a great evening well spent for watching Richard Strauss's Elektra. And for those of you who saw this production of Elektra at the Deutsche Oper Berlin, what did you think of it? Did you feel like Katherine Foster and Allison Oakes did really wonderful jobs as Elektra and Chrysothemis respectively? Did you feel like there was another singer who stole their thunder? Or did you feel like there was something that just didn't really hold up? Comment below and let me know. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to tune in tomorrow evening for my review of Los Pitutos live from the Kugelbahn in Wedding. So until then, good night everybody and happy Halloween.